The tragic story of Kim Shin, a general in the Goryeo dynasty who was betrayed by a jealous young king. Kim Shin is accused of treason and had to watch his loved ones, including his sister, who is the queen, get killed in front of him before he's finally struck with a sword. He made his most trusted friend struck his sword in his heart and was thrown on a bare land. The heaven intervenes, bringing him to live as an immortal goblin, but with a curse to wander the earth with a sword in his chest visibly only to his destined bride, who alone can remove the sword to end his suffering. The goblin returns to confront those who betrayed him and got his revenge on the eunuch who twisted the king against him. The Grim Reaper was introduced, colliding into a car with a dead human body. The Grim Reaper compelled him to reveal the truth, and the dead woman was seen by the people at the scene. The woman's soul left her and met with the Grim Reaper, who sent her to the eternal life. Centuries later, on a snowy day, Kim Shin was drowning himself with alcohol when he heard a cry for help. A pregnant woman has been hit by a car and left in a pool of blood. The woman desperately begged him to save her life because of her unborn baby. Kim Shin rescued the pregnant woman from death, unknown to him, tying his fate to her unborn daughter, Jiun Tak. She is now a high school student with the supernatural ability to see ghosts. Yoon Tak is introduced as cheerful and also a resilient teenager, despite her tragic life. Losing her mother at a young age, Yoon Tak lives with her auntie and her two spoilt kids who never treated her like a family. She endured abuse from her aunt. During Yoon Tak's childhood, she was always visited by the Grim Reaper due to the fact that she was supposed to die, but was saved by the goblin. But Yoon Tak always find a way to escape the Grim Reaper from taking her away. Frustrated, Yoon Tak on her birthday went to the side of the ocean to blow her candle. The goblin always listened to human wishes and prayers every day. Yoon Tak summons Kim Shin by blowing out a candle, thereby marking the beginning of their intertwined destinies. Yoon Tak knows from there that Kim Shin is not a normal human, but was not scared because she is always seeing ghosts right from her childhood days. Instead, she asked the goblin to grant her wishes instead. The goblin gave her a break from her wicked auntie and told her to work hard at chicken restaurant. The goblin returned to his house and found the Grim Reaper there. His worker, a descendant who had been helping him ever since he was cursed, had sold the house to the Grim Reaper, thinking the goblin would be gone for a long time. The goblin offered to repay the Grim Reaper for the house, but the Grim Reaper refused, saying he had already paid in full and signed the lease. The goblin have no choice but to allow the Grim Reaper into his home with the aim of making him pack out later on his own. Yoon Tak tried to blow another candle and summoned the goblin again, just to satisfy her curiosity. The goblin appeared, but soon left after their conversation. Yoon Tak figured out the way to be summon the goblin is by blowing out candles, so she kept blowing candles and summoning the goblin. They summoned the goblin to a library. She asked if the goblin is her guardian and told him he is different from the other ghosts she has been meeting. The goblin was not interested in what she had to say, and as the goblin was trying to leave, she noticed a blue flame on the goblin and tried grabbing his arm, but later let go because it was too hot for her. She told the goblin that she is his bride, showing him the mark at the back of her neck she got from birth. The goblin looked shocked and could not believe his eyes. He had a flashback about the pregnant woman he saved in the snow from an accident. The goblin asked Yoon Tak to prove she was the goblin's bride by telling him what she sees when she looks at him, hoping she'll point to the sword on his chest. But Yoon Tak was not giving him the right answers, so he left and walked through a door in the library and teleported to another country. But to his surprise, Yoon Tak followed him and was able to teleport with him to the same country. To Yoon Tak's surprise also, she could not believe she teleported to Canada with the goblin. She made up her mind that she will be the goblin's bride and confessed her love for the goblin. It took the goblin by surprise. Yoon Tak was having fun in the new country, going from one store to another, while the goblin patiently followed. They were in Quebec, Canada. Yoon Tak kept asking if Kim Shin is the goblin, but he kept denying it. She was trying to catch a maple leaf but collided with the goblin, and there was a moment between them. The goblin took her to a hotel and asked her to wait for him at the lobby. He told her he had a meeting to attend. Back in Korea, the Grim Reaper was shown having dinner with his colleague and was talking about missing souls. While they were talking, two people entered the restaurant. They had no idea they are already dead and were arguing because of the accident that killed them. The Grim Reaper walked up to them and called their names and their time of death. The man caused the death of the man and was not remorseful. The Grim Reaper gave the woman a portion to drink to forget all her regrets in life so she can move to the eternal world. The man asked why he was not given a portion to drink. The Grim Reaper told him he has to account for all the bad deeds he has done in his life and live eternally in regret. Apparently, he was the same man who ran over Yoon Tak's mother and left her to die in the cold night. Kim Shin was at the burial ground of those who had died with him during the Goryeo dynasty. He couldn't forget their deaths and how they had served and sacrificed their lives for him. There were nights when he desperately tried to remove the sword from his chest, but he always failed. He sat by the graves, lost in thought. Jeon Tak got tired of staying at the lobby and walks outside to look for the goblin. She saw him nearby a field and quietly sat at his bag, with a flower in her hand. She blows the flower towards the goblin. After several hours, the goblin stood and was surprised to see Yoon Tak at his back. Yoon Tak asked him why is there no name on his own headstone. Yoon Tak then bowed to the headstone and said, "She will be the bride of the goblin in the next 200 years. They left the graveyard and teleported back to Korea. Yoon Tak thanked him and left for school. Her teacher scolded her when she got to school and said harsh words to her. Back at the goblin's house, he told the Grim Reaper to stay close to him, because he has encased Yoon Tak as his bride. He tried making the Grim Reaper teleport with him, but could not do it. He found it strange that Yoon Tak can do something even the Grim Reaper cannot do. Back at the school, Yoon Tak was checking if she can teleport on her. She tried open a toilet door, hoping she will teleport to Canada, but the door led her to the toilet. She met a young lady with a really fair skin and a shiny red lipstick and a red dress in the bathroom. The woman gave a nylon containing spinach and asked her to cook it when she gets home. On getting home, her auntie and her kids were waiting for her to prepare dinner for them. She used the spinach given to her by the young lady she met inside the toilet to prepare kimbap for them. One of Aunt's children went to search her room and found the souvenir book she got from Canada and accused her of trying to run away. The ghosts helped her as she was being abused by her auntie. She took her book and left the house to have her meal outside the house. The goblin could not sleep, so he went to Yoon Tak's house and claimed she was the one that summoned him. The goblin noticed Yoon Tak's mood and asked why she is outside. Yoon Tak told him she was waiting for her aunt's family to fall asleep. The goblin offered to keep her company till she goes back in. One of Yoon Tak's classmates saw her with the goblin and texted the rest of the class bully that Yoon Tak has a sugar daddy. They demanded a picture, and as she was about to take the picture, the ghost hit her with a car door nearby. She got scared and ran away. Sunny runs a fried chicken store. Yoon Tak was walking by and noticed that she is hiring for part-timers. She went in to try her luck. Sunny is a bright, carefree, nice lady. She noticed Yoon Tak is a nice teenager and offered her the job. The shop is mostly not busy because of lack of customers, but Sunny keeps it open so she will not be bored. Yoon Tak was made a tag and was really happy and excited to show it to the goblin. At the chicken shop, Sunny treated Yoon Tak like her sister. Sunny went to a shaman one day to ask for her fate. The shaman told her that her fate is in tangles with a man in a black hat. Yoon Tak was on her way home when she met the Grim Reaper on the way. She pretended like she cannot see him but was caught. She got scared that the Grim Reaper is about to take her away. She was saved by the goblin. He came to her rescue, and the Grim Reaper left telling her he will come another day to take her. Scared, Yoon Tak spoke angrily to the goblin because she thinks she has all the qualities to be his bride and save her from all her dilemmas. But the goblin keeps refusing. She did not summon the goblin for days. The Grim Reaper also tried looking for Yoon Tak at her house, but could not find her as she has moved from the house. The Grim Reaper confronted the goblin. Yoon Tak has been sleeping in Sunny's shop to avoid meeting the Grim Reaper again. She met with some of the ghosts she used to see, and they explained to her why the Grim Reaper must take her. The next day, her aunt came to look for her at Sunny's shop. Sunny was disappointed at the kind of person her aunt is, and threatened to have her arrested if she did not leave the shop. Yoon Tak's auntie got home and met the loan sharks she was owing money. She convinced them that Yoon Tak has the money. The loan sharks went to Yoon Tak's school to kidnap her. Yoon Tak's auntie asked the loan sharks to go to Yoon Tak because she thought Yoon Tak have her mother's savings and is refusing to leave it for her spend. The loan sharks gets to her school and threw her into their van. They drove her far away and they kept beating her asking for the money. At that moment, Yoon Tak desperately prayed for the goblin to save her. The goblin heard her prayer and appeared with the Grim Reaper in a really heroic way. The goblin with his powerful sword slashed the loan shark's car into two. The goblin helped Yoon take out of the car. Yoon Tak asked if he is going to kill the loan sharks, and he said no, that he is just going to teach them a life lesson. Although the Grim Reaper thought that killing them might be a good idea, the Grim Reaper made the loan sharks forget their faces and what happened, and compelled them to fight each other for no reason. and then they all left the scene. The goblin made Diakwa investigate about Yoon Tak. He told the goblin about how Yoon Tak's aunt have been bothering about the money her mother left her. The goblin made a 2-bar of gold to appear in Yoon Tak's room at her auntie's house. While her aunt was searching her room, she found the gold and was really surprised. She kept shouting, attracting the attention of her 2 kids in the house. They took the bar of gold to a jewelry and tried to convince the worker it's there. The worker noticed the gold belongs to the Republic of South Korea, asked them to wait, and quietly made a call to the police. At the police station, they tried to mention Yoon Tak's name, but could not remember as the goblin had used his power on them. The Grim Reaper was seen at the hospital. A doctor had died due to overexhaustion. Later, he went to eat. Yoon Tak spent her days thinking about the goblin, and so was the goblin. One day she was at the library searching for a book she had kept the maple leaf she caught in Canada in, but Diakwa was holding the book at the reception. The two met. Diakwa returned home and met his grandfather at the goblin's house. The Grim Reaper introduced himself as the goblin's friend. At the goblin's house, Diakwa made a joke about becoming a Grim Reaper. The goblin was surprised. He asked how he knows the Grim Reaper. He told him he noticed all the weird power in the house. The Grim Reaper was already there at that moment. But unknown to Diakwa, he told the goblin, the Grim Reaper must have committed a great sin to become a Grim Reaper. The Grim Reaper tries to list out the sins he thinks he is capable of, but cannot seem to get it. Diakwa told his grandfather about how well the Grim Reaper and the goblin has been getting along. His grandfather told him the goblin is trying to forget his past, while the Grim Reaper is battling to remember his past life. The goblin and the Grim Reaper went to the supermarket together. There the goblin made the Grim Reaper promise to leave Yoon Tak alone. He leaves instead. The goblin teleported to Yoon Tak's house from there. They had a brief talk and he left for his house. The Grim Reaper, on his way to work, walking on a bridge, met the young lady Yoon Tak met in the toilet. The lady tried selling hairpin to the Grim Reaper. During that process, she reflected a mirror in the Grim Reaper's face, which made the Grim Reaper notice a green ring. As soon as he wants to take the ring, Sunny beats him to it and took the ring. The Grim Reaper looked like he was crying. Sunny thought it was because of the ring and tried to give him the ring in exchange for his number. But the Grim Reaper does not have a phone, so he asked Sunny to write it down on a piece of paper. She introduced herself as Sion Hui, but preferred to be called Sunny. The young lady who sold the ring apparently is also a supernatural human being. Sunny has not received a call from the Grim Reaper, and it is making her fume. But Yoon Tak tried to calm her down, even though she did not. The guy Sunny met was the Grim Reaper. Back at Yoon Tak's house, her aunt did not pay the lease, so her stuffs were being moved out. Yoon Tak has nowhere to go. At school, her teacher scolded and accused her of smoking. Yoon Tak, feeling sad, went to the side of the ocean to talk to her dead mother. It started raining. The goblin found her there and tells her it's raining because he is sad. The goblin pat Yoon Tak on the head. The Grim Reaper kept reminding the goblin to pack his load since he promised to leave. Just then the doorbell rang and it caught them by surprise because the bell has never been used in the house. The Grim Reaper and the goblin went out to find Yoon Tak at the door. The Grim Reaper left them to talk. Yoon Tak tells the goblin that if she can see what is on his chest, will he promise not to leave and allow her to stay in his house since she is homeless? The goblin at that moment was nervous. Yoon Tak pointed to the sword at his chest, telling him she can see it and has just been pretending she could not. Pointing to the sword, she asked him if she is the goblin's bride now, and he said yes. This made Yoon Tak happy, but the goblin is still in shock. He just met his bride that could remove the sword in his heart and will cease to exist. He asked why Yoon Tak did not tell she could see it since. She tells him she was just trying to be cautious, that something like must have been really painful to carry around, and that she knew he would not want to talk about it. Overwhelmed, the goblin asked Yoon Tak to stay outside for a moment. He ran to the Grim Reaper's room to tell him about it. The Grim was indifferent about it. He thinks that is a good thing since he has always wanted to remove the sword and die. The goblin and Grim Reaper went back outside. The goblin tried to tell Yoon Tak that she cannot live with him because of the Grim Reaper. Yoon Tak insisted that she will die on the street if he did not take her in, and he already promised he will, since she can see the sword now. The Grim Reaper supported Yoon Tak and suggests she lives with them so she can take out the sword from the goblin's chest and end the curse. But the goblin eventually gave him and invite her inside. Yoon Tak was blown away when she entered the house. The goblin offered her the 50 million won she has been asking for, but Yoon Tak refused, seeing that the goblin is extremely rich, but she later took the money. The goblin called Diakwa's grandfather to take Yoon Tak to an hotel suite. The man gave her his card to call whenever she needs help. She was happy with the room at first, but was sad that she is alone. Throughout the next, the goblin was having a bad day. He was scared and overwhelmed at the same time that he is really about to die. Back at the hotel, rain was falling, which gave Yuntak the impression that he is sad. Diakwa took Yuntak to school in his expensive, and everyone at the school was surprised to see Yuntak with handsome, rich Diakwa. Back at the house, the Grim Reaper was staring at Sunny's number, unable to call her. Later, the goblin asked for the Grim Reaper's help in sending someone important to him to the afterlife. The old man that died was a very important person to the goblin. He met the goblin when he was a kid. The Grim Reaper gave him a special send-off as requested by the goblin. Back at the hotel, Yuntak was bored and she blew candles to summon the goblin. He looked gloomy. He asked her how she got the candles, and she told him she had to beg Diokwa to buy it for her. Yuntak then noticed that the goblin has been avoiding her ever since she told him she can see the sword. He got drunk and tells her she is the only one that can remove the sword in his chest. Yuntak asks him why he cannot just let her live in his house. The next morning, the sun was bright and weather is nice. The goblin was in a good mood. He did not remember what he had told Yuntak last night, but later remember about telling her that she is only one that can remove the sword, but lied about the fact that he will cease to exist. At a makeup shop, Sunny was having her makeup session, but kept wondering why the Grim Reaper has not called her yet. She unknowingly spoke out, and the attendant told her the guy is playing hard to get. At the school, Yuntak was staring at the business identity card given to her by Diakwa's grandfather. Suddenly, one of her classmates snatched the card from and asked if it was her sugar daddy that gave, and then questioned the kind of men Yuntak dates, while her classmate was bullying. The ghosts that used to follow Yuntak around put a cigarette in between the bully's fingers, and unknowingly she started to smoke it. The teacher saw and hit her with a book. She tried pinning it on Yuntak, but the most brilliant student defended her. Later, the goblin picked up Yuntak from school and took her to Canada to eat steak at a restaurant. Later, they went to a fountain. Yuntak playfully tried to take the sword out of the goblin, but the goblin ran away. Later, Yuntak gave the goblin a book to read. She asked him to wait, and then she went to the hotel. He took her to the first time they came to Canada. She wrote him a letter. She went back to the park and met him sitting and reading the book she gave him. Then the goblin realized that Yuntak is his first love. Sunny was waiting for the Grim Reaper on the bridge they had met earlier. Coincidentally, the Grim Reaper was also on the bridge. They met. Sunny asked why he did not call her, and he could not tell her it was because he did not have a phone. They went to a restaurant to talk. Sunny tried to converse with the Grim Reaper like a human, but she finds the Grim Reaper way of conversing funny and weird. The Grim Reaper looked at her with affection whenever she laughs and tells her he could not control himself whenever he sees her laugh. Sunny asked the Grim Reaper for his name, but he could not tell her because he did not remember anything about his past life again. Sunny made him promise to call her and tell her his name next time. They left the restaurant. The goblin realized his feelings for Yuntak. In order for him not to hurt her, he decides he has to make her take the sword out of his chest before he gets too attached. He told the Grim Reaper of his plan, but he seems sad about it. So he went to her hotel room when she was about to summon him and tells her to come live with him in his home since she is the goblin's bride. The goblin took her to his home, and the Grim Reaper was happy to have Yuntak around since she is going to remove the sword and make the goblin cease to exist. On their way to the goblin's house, Yuntak asked the goblin for his name, and he told her it is Kim Shin. The goblin took Yuntak to her room. The room was not livable at the moment since they have never had any visitor. The goblin asked Yuntak to sleep in his own room for the night, while he slept in the Grim Reaper's room. They argued for a while about who was going to sleep on the couch and on the bed, but the goblin took the couch. The goblin asked the Grim Reaper if he has ever met the Almighty. The Grim Reaper said he is low subject and does not have the honor of meeting with the Almighty. The goblin told him he has met with him once, and he looks like a butterfly. He does not know if he should resent him for bringing him back alive and cursing him with eternity. Inside the goblin's room, Yuntak sat on the goblin's comfortable armchair, and then she noticed a diary, but could not read the content as it was written in Chinese. Just then, the goblin was seen writing in the diary. Centuries back, he wrote about the pain of losing and burying the people around, and that have faithfully served him. He mentioned how his life seems like a blessing at times, but he is reminded of the curse. She dropped it and jumped on the bed and slept soundly. The next morning, the Grim Reaper and the goblin were inside the kitchen preparing breakfast. Yuntak got there and was fed by the goblin. She thanked him for the food, and gave both the Grim Reaper and the Goblin list of instructions in order for them not to invade her privacy. She told them not to teleport beside her, but to call her when they want to talk. She left for school. Later in the day, the Goblin picked her up from school and took her for shopping. He bought so many things for her. Later at home, the Goblin handed all the shopping bags to Yoon Tak and told her to go check her room out. Yoon Tak was astonished when she saw her room. She thanked the Goblin. He warned her. His room is downstairs and should behave. Instead, Yoon Tak kept jumping around in her room, elated, thereby distracting the Goblin from his afternoon reading. The Grim Reaper and the Goblin got a phone. The Grim Reaper tried to call Sunny, but could not. The Grim Reaper knocked on Yoon Tak's door. She is still scared of him. She thought he is about to take her to the other world, but the Grim Reaper came to her for advice. He wants to ask for a name recommendation. Yoon Tak recommended 3 names for him: Hyunbin, Wonbin, and Kim Woobin. The Goblin always delivers food for Yoon Tak at her doorstep whenever she is studying, encouraging her so she can take the sword out. He asked her what her dream is one day when they were inside the kitchen, and she told him she wants to be a radio producer. She kept postponing the day she will remove the sword because she thought the Goblin will kick her out of the house once she removes the sword from his heart. The Goblin mistakenly called himself Yoon Tak's boyfriend, and things got a bit awkward between them. The Grim Reaper keeps staring at Sunny's number. The Goblin and Dia Kwa snatched the number and dialed it. The Grim Reaper quickly snatched the phone and went to the room to talk to her. She was surprised he finally called her. They decided to meet up. The Goblin still feels awkward around Yoon Tak after calling himself her boyfriend. They tried avoiding each other inside the house, but they decide to sort it out. They dressed up and teleported to their favorite steak restaurant in Canada. When they got to the restaurant, the Goblin had a vision. He saw the future with Yoon Tak at the restaurant at the age of 29 years waiting for a man. She has forgotten all about him and has moved on with her life, but he was not beside her, and that made him feel sad. His life of eternity had ended. Tears fell down from his face. He realized he made the decision to let Yoon Tak remove the sword from his chest to end his immortality. He wants Yoon Tak to have a bright life. Yoon Tak noticed the Goblin's sad mood. The Goblin is torn between his desire to live and his growing affection for Yoon Tak. He has begun to see Yoon Tak not as his destined bride that will end his eternity, but as someone who brings joy and meaning to his lonely existence. They got home, and the Goblin asked her out of nowhere to remove the sword right there and now. Yoon Tak was hesitant. She asked him for the first time why there was a sword in his chest. She asked if he had committed a treason in his past life. The Goblin tried to convince her that the sword in his heart is a punishment from the Almighty for all he have sinned, and 900 years of living seem like enough punishment to him. Yoon Tak argued that it's not a punishment, that the Almighty must have forgiven him since he has been helping human beings, and if the Almighty really wants to punish him, he would not have created her to remove the sword to make him look pretty again. The reason the Goblin gave her for removing the sword. She cleaned his tears. Yoon Tak remains unaware of the full implications of her role as the Goblin's bride. She refuses to take the sword out now, and she left for her part-time job. The Grim Reaper took Dia Kwa to meet Sunny. Sunny had asked him to bring a friend so she can know more about him. They arrived in a fancy car, and Sunny's friend was amazed. Yeon Dia Kwa introduced himself as the heir to his grandfather's big company. Sunny's friend searched him up, and Sunny realized he is her landlord, and also a third-generational Chibol. Sunny asked what the Grim Reaper does, and his name. He told his name is Woobin, and he is a public servant. Sunny's friend started talking to Dia Kwa, thereby distracting Sunny from talking to Woobin. He compelled Sunny's friend and Dia Kwa to leave the restaurant and made Sunny forget. She just compelled them. After they left, Sunny asked for Dia Kwa's number as he is her landlord. He gave Sunny the green jade ring symbolizing his affection for her. Sunny asked for his business card, but the Grim Reaper told her he is going to give her in their next meeting. They chatted. Their conversations are filled with awkwardness and humor. He struggles with his newly acquired mobile device while in front of her. Then they left the restaurant. At home, the Goblin feels down. The thought of ending his life becomes more difficult as he falls deeper for Yoon Tak. He does not think he can let go of his newfound happiness, even if it means relieving him of centuries of pain and loneliness. Yoon Tak later talked to the Reaper that she is going to help the Goblin take out the sword from his chest and become prettier. Yoon Tak thought it must be good since the Goblin has been encouraging her to do it. The Reaper was shocked at first, because he was already fond of the Goblin, but decided not to tell Yoon Tak what will happen if the sword is pulled out. After a stressful day at work, The Reaper was walking on the bridge when he saw the business card of a loan shark. He got jealous because Sunny had asked him for his card, but could not give her because he did not have one. Suddenly, he sees Sunny walking towards him. He quickly put on his Reaper black hat in order not to get seen by her. He made himself invisible, but he stood there watching her. She was wearing the jade ring and complaining about how the Reaper did not call her. Just at that moment she slipped and the Grim Reaper quickly bent over and she fell on him but could not see him since he is invisible. This scared her and she ran so fast. At the chicken shop, Sunny asked Yoontak if she believes in ghosts. Yoontak could not tell her she sees ghosts herself. Sunny asked her to take the week off to prepare for upcoming exam. After work, the goblin met with Yoontak. They chatted about how the goblin had saved Yoontak's mother when she was pregnant with her. They both got emotional, and then Yoontak told him about her plan to pull out the sword for him and gave him a gentle pat on his head. At home, the goblin, knowing he is about to die, had a conversation with the Grim Reaper, Diakhwa's grandfather and Diakhwa. He gave the Grim Reaper the lease agreement to stay in his house for another 20 years. He also asked him to erase Yoontak's memory after everything is over, but the Reaper could not hear anything as he held the phone the wrong way when they were on a video call. The Grim Reaper does not know how to use a mobile device. He told Diakhwa's grandfather to burn the portrait of the queen, also his sister, from the Goryeo era, the portrait he has been holding on to, and tells him he still have debts. He asked to take care of his young bride Yoontak when he is gone. He ends up giving Diakhwa a credit card. Kim Shin takes Yoontak to the bucket wheat field, and before they can begin, she brought out a contract. She reads out to him the final condition that he must listen to her summons on the first snow of every year. Just at that moment, Kim Shin thinks back to how the Grim Reaper had told him he will die before the first snow. Snow started falling. Shin braces himself as Yoontak moves closer to him to grab the sword. Surprisingly, she was not able to grab the sword. Her hands kept passing through the sword, but she kept trying again and again. Shin is in shocked and confused state. He could not say anything except calling her a fake goblin bride. Yoontak screamed back, saying she is confused. Amidst all the screaming and confusion, Yoontak figured it all out and says, "It must be a fairy tale," without letting the goblin know. She pulled him closer and kissed him on the lip. Shocked at what she did, the snow starts reeling back in reversed. The goblin seems happy about the kiss. Shocked at the same time, Yoontak tries to do it again. The goblin asked her to put more pressure. She grabbed the sword, but only she could not. Yoontak got angry and told the goblin that was her first kiss. Yoontak could not help but feel that she will get kicked out of the house. She told herself that the only way to make the goblin let her stay with him is by true love. With mixed feelings, the goblin left the field, promising Yoontak he will not kick her out of the house. The goblin met with Diakhwa's grandfather. He asked if he had burned the scroll. The man fooled him for a while before telling him he has not burned it. He tried to convince the goblin to give up on dying and just live a long life, but he could not understand why Yoontak could not remove the sword when he saw her future, that he had died because she removed the sword. Diakhwa was crying in the house thinking the goblin is dead already. The goblin entered. Diakhwa quickly went to hug him while the Grim Reaper was shocked. He asked Yoontak why she was not able to pull the sword out. Yoontak is as confused also. The Reaper wonders why she was unable to pull the sword out. He started doubting the story of the goblin's bride. He wonders if he should tell her the real reason the sword needs to be pulled out of the goblin's chest. Kim Shin, somehow happy that he is not dead yet, asked the Grim Reaper and Diakhwa to return the gifts he had left for them before going. Yoontak, who is still confused, stayed at the back. She started questioning herself if she is actually the goblin's bride. The Grim Reaper demanded that the goblin kick her out of the house. The Grim confronted the goblin and tells him about his doubts that Yoontak might not be his bride. He demanded again that she should be sent out of the house. The goblin is in a good mood because of the kiss. On the day of Yoontak's exam, they were at the bus stop. The goblin mistakenly stops the time for 30 minutes, making Yoontak late for her exam. He was patting her head. He took her hand, and they both ran to her school. After the exam, parents were waiting for their kids at the entrance. Yoontak felt lonely, as no one was waiting for her. She went home, and to her surprise, the goblin and the Grim Reaper, as well as Diakhwa, had gotten her a cake. She started feeling emotional and blew the candle. After the celebration, the Grim Reaper asked Diakhwa to make him a business card. The goblin and Yoontak went to the arcade. They played different games, and they went to watch a scary movie together. Yoontak and Kim Shin watched the scary movie Train to Busan. which makes him scream like a kid with a panicking Yoon-tak apologizing to people. After the movie, they went to a restaurant. Yoon-tak acted like she was not hungry, so the goblin did not order food for her. Yoon-tak told the goblin she noticed that as she was about to take the sword in his chest out, she noticed he was giving everybody what they wanted and wished for, like a farewell gift. The goblin, without telling her the whole truth, told her he is going far away, and that made Yoon-tak sad. She wonders where exactly Shin will go when the sword is pulled out, but he does not answer, but he does say, once the real bride appears, he has no choice but to leave. This statement made Yoon-tak jealous, as she already doubted herself as the goblin's bride. Yoon-tak applied at a university, and while she was there, she runs into a baseball player named Tae-hee, who was Yoon-tak's first love. The goblin went to Yoon-tak's school with flowers, but met Tae-hee patting Yoon-tak's hair, and she was also smiling. This made the goblin jealous. He dropped the flower and went home. Apparently, the goblin and Tae-hee had met when Tae-hee was a kid. Tae-hee had wanted to be a baseball player. His mom thought, he will be better off as a pianist. The goblin and Tae-hee met at a baseball court, and they challenged themselves, in which Tae-hee won. He asked the goblin to grant his wish of making the piano in his house disappeared, unknowingly to him that the goblin is a god and can grant his wishes. The goblin, out of jealousy, went to seek Tae-hee at his school, and Tae-hee recognizes him and noticed he has not aged a bit. The goblin, of course, denied it. Meanwhile, the Grim Reaper at home is on a panic run, as Sunny was seen calling him repeatedly. He did not want to pick because he does not have a business card yet. He asked the goblin to answer the call for him, but he refused. The goblin asked in return that the Grim Reaper help him erase Tae-hee's memory, but the Grim Reaper refused. He asked where Yoon-tak is. Yoon-tak received a call from Tae-hee asking to go on a date. The Grim Reaper found her at a restaurant talking to Tae-hee. He asked her to help him pick the call and talk to Sunny. After talking to Sunny, Yoon-tak noticed the voice sound familiar but did not pay much attention to it. She told him, Sunny wants to meet at their usual cafe the next day. The Grim Reaper and Sunny went on a date. The Grim Reaper, being his weird self, memorizes by heart a ton of bio data about himself to tell Sunny, and starts spouting non-stop as soon as he got there. But it got interrupted when the Grim Reaper stands up to go a meeting with his associate. Sunny made him promise to pick her calls and meet up more. The Grim Reaper, on his way to the meeting, meets with a pickpocket, and he stole his wallet. The Grim Reaper is the treasurer, so he was supposed to pay for the drinks, but could not. His associates sly him and made him get arrested. He called the goblin for help, and there the goblin made a deal with him to make Tae-hee's memory disappear. The Grim Reaper at home, Dia-kwa delivers the portrait in the scroll from his grandfather. He meets the Grim Reaper at the sitting room. Out of curiosity, they both opened the scroll. Reaper looks at the portrait of the woman in the painting, and suddenly, he clutches his heart and cries out in pain. Sunny is shown at shop at that moment. Flashback shows the young king spying on the girl who is to be made his queen. She spots him at the back of the fence. The bowls that she was using to practice her walking posture falls down, and the two smiled at each other. The goblin cannot find Yoon-tak. He tried teleporting to her but cannot find out where she is. After some moment, he teleport to a wedding ceremony with Yoon-tak, singing beautifully to the bride and the groom. The goblin is lost in her voice. After her wedding gig, she tells Kim Shin that she is working various jobs and saving enough money so she can get her own apartment and move out of the house. She tells him she has not gotten a chance to tell him she is sorry for not being able to remove the sword in his chest. She tells him about her mother. And they both got emotional. They were falling in love with each other. He comforts her with a hug, and suddenly he feels a pain in his chest, and Yoon-tak realizes she can see and touch the sword in his chest. She calls for his attention and attempt to pull out the sword. Alarmed Kim, Shin pushes Yoon-tak away and she flies off a great distance, only to be caught by the goblin. It causes a huge ripple as many cars and objects starts flying and colliding. At that moment of chaos, Kim Shin knows that he has found his fate. As Yoon-tak begins to draw the sword out of his chest, Kim Shin throws her off, sending her flying into the air. He saves her, and that causes a huge accident on the street. He takes her home and tucks her in her bed. She told him she is glad that she is the real bride of the goblin, but the goblin is sad. He did not want to leave yet because he is in love with Yoon-tak. After the incident, the goblin falls sick for a couple of days, but Yoon-tak takes care of him. He tells her one day that his first love hurts him really bad. Yoon-tak gets curious and jealous because she remembered his diary and thinks the words there must be for his first love. Dia-kwa and the Grim Reaper settles the accident by erasing people's memories and compensating them for the damages. Back at home, the Grim Reaper keeps staring at the portrait and keeps wondering why he feels sad whenever he looks at the portrait. Hua informs the goblin of the Grim Reaper's reaction when he saw the portrait. He tells him that the Grim Reaper had cried when he opened the portrait. The goblin goes downstairs to confront the Grim Reaper. He asks why he cried when he saw the portrait. The Grim Reaper is not sure. The goblin tells him that the person in the portrait is his sister. The Grim Reaper did not pay to it again and tells him it's probably one of the reaped souls, and it probably just an emotion, not a memory. At school, Untak's dead friend, a ghost who had been following her around, notices that Untak's birthmark is fading. Untak brushes it off, saying it's probably just because she's getting older. Curious about the ghost's story, Untak asks how she died, and the ghost replies that it was from an accident. Untak took Hua to a restaurant. After Untak shows him her copy of the words from Kim Shin's journal, she bribed Hua to translate the content for her with a sandwich burger. He tells her that it is a love letter, and it was written to his first love. Then Hua finds out about the sword. Tae-hee begins going to Sunny's restaurant, with Reaper closely watching Untak's actions. Untak tries to bargain with the Grim about Tae-hee's frequent visits to the restaurant. She begs him not to tell the goblin about how she is always giving Tae-hee free chicken, and she is always flirting with him at the restaurant. When Kim Shin finds out about it, he becomes jealous. He magically returned Tae-hee's piano back to his house after many years. At the bus stop, Untak forgets her neck scarf. The goblin brings it to her. He wished her luck and she get on the bus. As Untak gets ready for her interview, before the bus leaves, the goblin has a vision about an accident that will happen on the bus Untak is in. He sees that many people died in the crash, but Untak was not among them. Kim Shin hears a scream from a woman whose bag has just been stolen by a guy on a bike. As the guy passes him by, he sees a vision of the guy crashing into a vendor's table and causing multiple deadly accidents among vehicles on the road, including Untak's bus. Meanwhile, a team of Grim Reapers were waiting for the accident to take place. They even have extra hand from other Grim Reapers Association, because it is going to be a huge crash. But luckily, the goblin intervenes and prevents the accident from happening because of Untak. The bus moves forward. Untak sees the Grim Reaper and waves at him. The rest of the Reapers are surprised she can see them. That is when it occurred to the Grim Reaper that the accident is bust, because Untak was not supposed to be on the bus that day. The Reapers are annoyed as there is a lot of paperwork involved for all the missing souls. The goblin makes his presence known to the Grim Reaper that he intervenes with the accident. The Grim Reaper and the goblin argues later about the incident. The goblin tells the Grim Reaper he did not see Untak die in the accident. She was not on the bus in his vision. The Grim Reaper guessed that it may be an effect of her relationship with the goblin. Then the Grim Reaper asks Kim Shin when he is planning on telling Untak what will truly happen if she removes the sword from his chest. But the goblin considers not telling her for another 80 years, but wonders if it is possible as he already saw her at their favorite restaurant in the future without him. Later in the night, Sunny is seen staring out of her shop, counting passerby. The Grim Reaper showed up. They take a walk. Sunny mentions that her name is Kim Sun, which she changed because she did not like the name. She feels like the name brings up bad memories about her past life. But she did not know the story behind it, so she prefers being called Sunny, because she thinks she shines more brightly then. We see a flashback of the young queen and Shin writing down Kim Sun's name on his journal. Sunny asked the Grim Reaper for his real name. Just then, the Grim Reaper started feeling pains on his chest. Sunny tries to help him, but he refuses her touch, and he compelled Sunny to leave and forget they ever met that evening. Flashback of the young king gifting Kim Shin a sword and asking him to leave and never return to the country. Kim Shin refused, saying his whole life is here. His sister, who is the queen, is also here and cannot simply leave, and he has sacrificed a lot for the country and the king. The king says it is an order that he has to follow. Shin is at a temple. He writes 2 names on a lantern, Kim Sun and Wang Yo, and he flies them to the sky. This tells us that the Grim Reaper and Sunny are the reincarnation of the young queen and the young king. Hua is also seen at the temple. He has found out about the sword on the goblin's chest. He tells his grandfather and said he should never let the goblin knows that he already found out about that sword, that it is the goblin's punishment from the Almighty and also the reason for his eternity. Kim Shin left the temple. He is seen at a library. He meets with the young woman that gave Untak spinach when she was at her aunt's place. She is a god. She wants to talk to the goblin that he should take out the sword quickly so he can save Untak from dying. She tells him that the longer he stays, the more in danger Untak will eventually lead to her death. Shin then realizes this is how Yoon-tak got into near-death experiences, but never came in his visions. As Shin realizes that he have to leave so Yoon-tak can be safe, at home, the Grimm tells Yoon-tak what will happen once she removes the sword from the goblin's chest. She could not believe it. The goblin has been lying to her. Yoon-tak, after realizing the truth, goes to her room and starts packing her bags to leave the goblin's house for good. Shin, on the other hand, is more devastated after hearing the truth from the fairy godmother. He gets home and cannot find Yoon-tak. Grim Reaper tries to tell him what happened, but he is not listening. Later he tells him and asks the goblin not to be mad at him as he is now on Yoon-tak's side, and he wants Kim Shin to live because he is fond of him now. After finding out from Reaper that Yoon-tak left the house after finding out the truth, Kim Shin goes to Sunny's restaurant. Finding it closed, he noticed they are hiring new part-timers. He turns to leave, but meets Sunny on the way. They pass by each other and the goblin has his vision again. He sees Sunny telling the Grim Reaper she never wants to see him again. Sunny sees him and calls him Oraboni. The goblin turns back. Sunny asks if he is the one that made Yoon-tak quit her job and made her cry also. The goblin is having a hard time finding Yoon-tak. Back at home, the goblin asks the Grim Reaper to finish the paperwork on Yoon-tak and file a date of death for her. That way, they can find her and keep her safe unless she is a missing soul. Yoon-tak's result comes out and she has gotten a good score to take the course she wants. The goblin collects the results from Yoon-tak's classmate who happened to come look for her at her previous house. She is nowhere to be seen, though. The goblin is lost in thought. The goblin has apologized in advance to the Grim Reaper because of the mood he is in. Strange things keeps happening. The weather keeps changing, and the citizens are getting worried and scared. Strange things happen to the Grim Reaper also. A death card burns up, and a dead man that has lost a lot of blood comes back alive because of the goblin's mood. Through Deok-hwa's help, Kim Shin finds Yoon-tak working in a ski resort. She is standing out in the cold thinking of the goblin, when he appeared at her back. He tries to take her home, but she doesn't want to have anything to do with him. He explains to her how he has been cursed to live like this, with the blood of thousands of people on his arm, and begs Yoon-tak to pull out the sword then, but she disagrees, saying she cannot just end the goblin's life. She asked him to leave her alone and live on, pretending they never met. The goblin tries his best the following days, but Yoon-tak breaks down one day, hitting him for the kind of fate she has. She asked if the goblin ever loved her. He tells her he did love her, but just needs to end his life so she will not be in more danger. Yoon-tak left him. Shin left the resort and goes back home. The Grim Reaper comes in to tell him Yoon-tak is in danger. As he has received a death card that is neither from him nor the goblin, it is like someone is out to kill the goblin's bride. Later on, Kim Shin is stunned when Reaper tells him that he has received Yoon-tak's death card. At the resort, Yoon-tak goes on with her work. She sits down on a chair waiting for a man, when suddenly a huge shelf lands on her and she loses consciousness. The goblin tries to find her, and he eventually did. Kim Shin saves Yoon-tak and takes her to the hospital. She is hospitalized for 2 days. She wakes up and she asks the doctors for a lighter or a matches. This made them look at her weird. As she leaves the hospital, she goes back to the ski resort. She blows a match in the cable car and is left disappointed because the goblin did not show up. Just then, she sees him waiting at the end of the line to help her get off the car. She then tells him she cannot see the sword anymore and cannot help him. The goblin's thoughts go over to how only one of them can live. The goblin hugs her from the back and confesses his feelings for her. The two embrace and acknowledge their emotions. The goblin convinces Yoon-tak to go back to the house. They gets home and the Grim Reaper made Kim Shin help fill the paperwork since he caused commotions when he was looking for Yoon-tak. Yoon-tak goes back to Sunny and gets rehired. She checks the computer and sees she has gotten admission into the university she wants. At the chicken shop, the Grim Reaper and Sunny were having a date. The goblin escorts Yoon-tak for her part-time job. They get there and see the Grim Reaper and Sunny. Yoon-tak tells him their sales have been going thanks to the Grim Reaper patronizing every day. The goblin brags that he can buy the whole building if he wants, and they somehow ended up having a double date. On a double date with Sunny in her restaurant, the goblin and Sunny cannot stop staring at each other angrily. The Grim Reaper, while trying to impress Sunny, says her real name, Kim Sun. The goblin looks shocked and Sunny herself, because she cannot remember telling the Grim Reaper her real name. The Grim Reaper already erased her memory from the night she told him her real name because he started feeling chest pains when she asked for his. Surprised, Sunny asked to talk in private with the Grim Reaper. They move outside. The goblin keeps staring at them because the name is the same as his sister. Sunny asks the Reaper how he knows her real when she has never mentioned it to him. The Grim cannot look her in the face. He tries to go back inside, but Sunny grabs his hand suddenly. The Grim starts having vision about Sunny past life. Tears starts coming out of the Grim Reaper's eye. The Goblin is looking at them with confusion. Reaper finally finds out who Sunny was in her previous life. In his vision, the Grim Reaper sees her as the queen who was shot with an arrow, bleeding out and dying. A scene where the young king looks into the queen's stuffs and finds the jade ring on Sunny's hand, which is shown as a sign of betrayal. A scene also that someone was putting the jade ring on the queen's hand. Reaper recognizes that she is also the queen from the scroll he had seen with the goblin's sister he had cried over. Then he remembers a voice over by him saying something is wrong with, and it all started ever since he saw the queen's scroll. Sunny is the reincarnation of Shin's sister. Reaper sees a vision of Sunny as the young Goryo queen with the jade ring. The Reaper is still not sure of his vision. He somehow collects himself after seeing all those visions. When they come back into the restaurant, Kim Shin starts asking Sunny about herself. Before they came into the restaurant, the Goblin asked Eun Tak the kind of person her boss is, but she was not giving a good answer. Later, Reaper compares how Sunny looks with Kim Sun, the woman in the scroll painting. He also questions himself on why he cried the first time he saw Kim Sun's portrait and the first time he saw Sunny. Reaper borrows the jade ring from Sunny. He seems visibly disturbed, and Shin asks him if he saw anything notable when Sunny touched him. The Grim Reaper did not reply, but he does ask Shin what he would do if he found out his sister was reincarnated. Shin replies that he cannot do much, since she won't remember him or her past, but he would check she is happy and safe. At home, they are both cooking inside the kitchen, although the Grim Reaper is lost in thoughts. The Grim Reaper asks about Shin's human life as Eun Tak walks in, but did not let her presence known. He hears from his life story. It starts with Wang Yo, who was a kid then, and his eunuch, and how the descendants for the throne kept dying until it was Wang Yo's turn on the throne. Unknown to them, the eunuch was later found to have poisoned them all to have Wang Yo on the throne and take control over the power as king through Wang Yo. His theory was, since he is of a low born, he will raise and make the king. Once the king is on the throne, he will make the world be at the feet of the king, then the king at his own feet. However, the ailing king just before his death summons Kim Shin, who is the general at that time and also a trusted person by the king. Just before Wang Yo was sworn in as the crown prince, the king made Kim Shin promise to betroth his sister to Wang Yo when he is a man, and also protect Wang Yo, and most importantly, keep him from dying. Years later, Shin's sister's proposal comes, which the eunuch greatly rejects because it will soil his plans of controlling the king. But another minister who was there in the last moments of the ailing king makes sure the king's wish came true. Before the queen enters the palace, the king had secretly visited her. The queen saw him but did not know he was the king. It was Kim Shin that tells her he was the one on her way to the palace. She fell in love with the king even before she met him. Shin's sister eventually marries Wang Yo, and it is all lovey-dovey and sweet because actually likes Kim's son. But the evil eunuch continues poisoning the king's mind against her. At a point, his words makes the king execute an innocent minister, which causes the queen to call the eunuch and warns him to stop poisoning the king's mind. The eunuch, forgetting all sort of manners, sneers at the queen and reminds her to stay in her place, and that he is the one who raised and brought up the king. He made the throne and put the king there, and that her brother has been sent to battlefield he will never return from, and is as good as dead. Shocked, the queen could not do anything, and the eunuch continues to poison the king's mind about Shin's war victories and how he is perceived as the god by the people. The king got totally brainwashed. The king summons Kim Shin and asks him to leave and make sure to die on the battlefield. Kim Shin did not count the king's jealousy and worries. He went to the battlefield, and on his return, he was executed alongside his sister and his loved ones. Eun Tak finds out her ghost friend Young Hyun was her mother's friend in school. With the help of her ghost friends, Young Hyun has been trying to lead her to the bank books Eun Tak's mother kept for her. She got the bank books and gave it to the goblin to help her with it. The goblin calls for Secretary Kim and asked him to sort the issues with the bank books so Eun Tak can withdraw the money. Later on, Secretary Kim visits Eun Tak's aunt in prison. Reaper goes on a date with Sunny. The goblin had a vision that Sunny was going to break up with him, but cannot change destiny, so he let it be. Sunny met with the Grim Reaper and calls it quit, since the Grim Reaper was not telling her about himself, nor his real name. The Grim Reaper heart was broken. Meanwhile, having officially become an adult on New Year's Eve, Yoon-tak goes out with Kim Shin to have her first taste of alcohol. She got drunk and kissed the goblin. The next morning, the Grim Reaper told them about the breakup. They tried to make him feel better by setting up a meeting with Sunny, making it look like a coincidence. The goblin unknowingly spoils the date. After playing Baduk with Deokhwa's grandfather, Kim Shin realizes then that the man is about to die. Kim Shin tells Reaper that he will soon get the grandfather's death card. The Reaper asks if he has told the man already, but the goblin tells there is no benefit in knowing one's time of death. He asks how he is going to break the news to Deokhwa. The Grim Reaper is still processing his breakup with Sunny. As the goblin tries to console Reaper about his status with Sunny, Reaper tells him that Sunny is the reincarnation of his sister Kim's son. Kim Shin said he would just check on his reincarnated sister to ensure her happiness. He went over to her shop, and Kim Shin surprises Sunny by embracing her. She pushed him away. She could not understand the reason the Grim Reaper is acting that way. Kim Shin begins visiting Sunny at the chicken restaurant and trying to give her gifts. Yoon-tak, however, becomes jealous at his show of attention towards Sunny. When Sunny continues to rebuff him, he orders Reaper to stay away from her. Later, Sunny seems curious and asks Yoon-tak if she believes in past lives. Yoon-tak tells her she believes a person has 4 lives, one to sow, one to farm, one to reap, and one to harvest. Yoon-tak then tells her about how they found out she is the goblin's reincarnated sister. She took Sunny to the Grim Reaper, and Reaper tells her that she is Kim Shin's sister in a past life. When Kim Shin says that she was a Goryeo queen and he was a warrior, Sunny wants proof that she is the goblin's reincarnated sister. They showed her the portrait. Sunny was indifferent about it. She commented that the queen is pretty and asked whether she lived a strong life. The Reaper and Yoon-tak gave Sunny and the goblin time to talk. The goblin told her how reading her letters in the past life had brought comfort to him and given him strength. Flashback. The king, worried and scared, hearing Kim Shin's triumphs on the battlefield, things got tensed between the queen and the king. Kim Shin wins more battles. But in the palace, Eunuch Park tries to convince King Wang-yo to act against Kim Shin by threatening the queen. On the day Kim Shin is to arrive, the king asks the queen to make a choice between him and his brother. The queen tries to tell the king that the eunuch has poisoned his mind and he is not in his right state of mind, but the king got angry and knows the queen's choice. Kim Shin recounts the story to Sunny. She feels a strange pain in her heart which she did not pay mind to. She asked the goblin if the king was reincarnated or not, and Kim Shin was not sure. Confused about everything that she's finding out, Sunny asks Yoon-tak if she's the goblin bride listed in Reaper's cell phone. The two bonded well, but Sunny told him she is being understanding because she can tell how much the goblin have missed his sister. Sunny walks away, but she was definitely not okay, and she later caught a fever. It's Yoon-tak's graduation day. She was feeling lonely as other parents showed up, or their children. Just then her fairy godmother walks in and told the teacher she did a poor job taking care of Yoon-tak. Kim Shin arrives later. The Grim Reaper arrives too with flowers. He meets Sunny and they took the opportunity to talk to each other. Sunny is eager to know the reason the Grim Reaper took the jade ring back, and she wants the ring back too. After her graduation, Yoon-tak, Sunny, Reaper, and Kim Shin spend time at a coffee shop. Sunny asks Reaper who he really is, and Kim Shin gives Yoon-tak her mother's bank book with the insurance payout. Meanwhile, the Grim Reaper visits Sunny's shop. He was invisible. He tries to take the ring. Sunny noticed some movement. She calculated the Grim Reaper's height and used Flower Branch to knock down his hat, revealing him. Reaper tells her who he really is and how he had erased her memory last time, and he tells he knows she wants them to break up, but eagerly waited for her answer. That night, Reaper gives Kim Shin a new death card. It's for Yoon-tak, with her death taking place from a high place in 2 weeks' time. That night, Yoon-tak perform a last taste for another ghost who wants to get back at her ex-husband. She and her ex-husband are at the top of a building. She eventually realizes the ghost girl was pushed off and killed by the husband, and she almost died in the process also. Kim Shin came to save her. Yoon-tak expects the goblin to be mad at her, but instead he just hugs her. The Grim Reaper receives a new missing person report. It is the ghost of the evil eunuch that is roaming about, and it is powerful. The evil eunuch ghost comes to the cafe to see Yoon-tak. He introduced himself to Yoon-tak. She got home and keeps remembering the eunuch ghost. She finds his face creepy and tries to focus on her study. She sees the letter she copied from the goblin's diary. The ghost of Eunuch Park confirms to Yoon-tak that she is the goblin bride. Meanwhile, Sunny is torn about Reaper's confession of who he really is and whether to see him or not. Sunny, at home, cannot believe the identity of the Grim Reaper. The Grim Reaper and the Goblin were drowning themselves in alcohol when Eun-tak enters the room. The Goblin seized her diary and finds his letter inside it. Kim Shin finds his letter in Hanja, hidden in Eun-tak's notebook. He asks her why she wants to know the meaning of the letter. She tells them Deok-hwa told it's a love letter. The Goblin did not think Deok-hwa should be able to translate the letter content. It dawned on him that Deok-hwa knows more than he is supposed to know. Eun-tak also thought of how Deok-hwa found her at the resort. Eun-tak reveals everything that Deok-hwa knows. Later, he and Reaper go to the nightclub to confront Deok-hwa. Deok-hwa was later revealed to be the Almighty that has been playing with their fates. At the chicken restaurant, Eun-tak confesses to Sunny that she's indeed the Goblin Bride. As they're talking, a group of Reapers come into the restaurant. She offers them free food for their hard work. Later on, the ghost of Eunuch Park tells a female Reaper to touch Sunny's hand. He tells her she will find out the part he played in her sins to make her become a Grim Reaper. The Grim Reaper notifies the Goblin about Deok-hwa's grandfather's death that will be caused by cardiac arrest. The Grim Reaper asks the Goblin to tell him. The Goblin tells him that there is no good in knowing one's time of death. They both thought about how heartbroken Deok-hwa is going to be. With the death of Deok-hwa's grandfather, Secretary Kim becomes the CEO. As Deok-hwa mourns his grandfather's death, he meets the Samshin grandmother on the bridge. She asks him if the Almighty left him already. Deok-hwa is surprised she knows him. He asks if she will like to go for a drink. She replies no and left. He promised to act more mature and take on his grandfather's role of serving the Goblin. Deok-hwa's grandfather left a letter for Secretary Kim. He tells him a time will come when the owner of the company will come and ask for his right. While preparing dinner, Kim Shim is taken aback when he sees King Wang-yo's face instead of Reaper's face. The Goblin asks him when he became a Grim Reaper. He tells him it was around 300 years back. Later, among the profiles for applicants that Deok-hwa is working on, he sees the name of his Goryeo second-in-command. He visits the interview venue and meets the man. He is old. The Goblin got emotional when he sees him. He made him got the job and other benefits. He asked the secretary to give him a car and an apartment in the name of the company. He is very grateful. Eun-tak gets ready for class. The Goblin gave her the necklace he had gotten for her in Canada. After her first day of classes, Eun-tak goes to the chicken restaurant. But the ghost of Eunuch Park suddenly teleports himself before her. He reveals to her the tragic relationship between Kim Shin and Reaper. Eun-tak meets the Grim Reaper at a park later. The Grim Reaper tells her he is part of the reason Sunny had died in her previous life. He tells her about how the evil eunuch had manipulated and poisoned the mind of Wang-yo against the Goblin and the Queen. The Reaper visits Sunny's house. She excitedly did her makeup and meet him. She notices his sad mood. He tells her he is scared about finding out about his past life, that he must have hurt her in her previous life. He kissed her, and the memories of their past lives flash back. The Goblin being angry with the Grim Reaper, he meets the Grim Reaper at the temple. The Grim Reaper was truly shocked he is the young king Wang-yo, who caused the Goblin's death. He does not know how things turned out that way. Kim Shin strangles Reaper, accusing him, as King Wang-yo, of killing his beloved sister and family. But he lets go of the stranglehold when Reaper pleads that he has no memory whatsoever of what happened in Goryeo. Later on, the Goblin went home. He hurriedly took Eun-tak out of the house and asked her to stay at Deok-hwa's house, but she suggested to go stay with Sunny as she is also not going to be okay. Reaper was heartbroken, and Kim Shin could not come to terms with how cruel a fate has come to him and why he had to endure all that. After meeting the female Reaper, Eunuch Park begins watching Sunny, determined that, in this lifetime, she will also die by his hands. While he was watching Sunny, the Grim Reaper came in and attacked him. The ghost said there is no point since he does not know his real identity. He sneered at the Grim Reaper and told him he is Wang-yo and had killed Sunny in his past life. It's revealed that the ghost eunuch feeds off negative energy and manipulated and caused the accidents near Eun-tak. The Grim Reaper was not able to kill him as the ghost eunuch teleports away. Reaper meets Eun-tak after her classes and asks her to draw the sword that stuck to Kim Shin's chest. He also asks her to return the jade ring to Sunny, as he believes Sunny does not remember him. Later on, at the tea house, he meets two members of the Reaper Division investigation team. They tell him that because he has abused his powers as a Reaper, he will relive his grievous sins that he has erased from his memories. The Reaper said he is ready to accept his punishment, The investigation committee mentions how Reaper are people who spend 200 years in hell and then erase their memories and spend their life as a Reaper. Therefore, his punishment will be to revisit his sins. The Reaper asked Yun-tak to make a drawing of the sword that is stuck in the goblin's heart. As Reaper looks at the sword, he imagined how Shin has been stuck with it all because of him. Flashback. King Wang-yo sinks into despair after the deaths of Kim Shin and the queen. The eunuch said that people have nothing but praise for the king, but he is angered and throws a huge fit and turns the table. Knowingly, he drank the tonics that Eunuch Park prepared for him. The tonic contained slow poison. Eventually, he walked the street with the jade ring and the bloodied clothes asking for someone to take it from him. The fairy godmother comes along and takes the jade ring as she has use for it in the future. Frustrated that nobody came forth to collect the clothes, he burned the clothes. He then ordered for more of the slow poison to end it once and for all after completing the queen's portrait. He blames everyone for not being there for him and commits suicide. Back to the present, the investigation officials mentioned that it was a sin for him to take his own life, and now he needs to spend the rest of his life with the memories of his sins as his punishment. He is also suspended from his duties as the Grim Reaper. Reaper collapsed with the pain from his memories. Yun-tak met Sunny at the chicken restaurant and gave her the jade ring. But as Sunny wondered about her connection to Reaper and Yun-tak's connection to Kim Shim, the ghost of Eunuch Park appeared and tries to attack Sunny. Yun-tak, however, notices the eunuch ghost outside and stands defensively in front of Sunny. The ghost said Yun-tak's turn is later, but he must first kill the queen. Yun-tak tried defending Sunny, and just then her goblin birthmark glows and repel him. Later, Yun-tak met up with the goblin, and she told him that her birthmark is now fading due to the danger she was in, and she cannot summon him again. Yun-tak told him Sunny is the eunuch ghost target, but the goblin said he will protect her no matter what. Meanwhile, through one of his colleagues, the Reaper found out about Yun-tak's next death date. It's in a week then. Kim Shin met with the Reaper and asked him to protect his sister from the ghost eunuch. Reaper also informed him of Yun-tak's next date of death. The Reaper asked Kim Shin why he came forward knowing he may get killed. Shin said he had promised the earlier king to protect Wang-yo and was coming forward to kill the eunuch. He never expected he would be killed. Kim Shin said Wang-yo was in fact loved by him, his sister and everyone, and he was not alone. Kim Shin now understands the purpose of the sword. He said it is to end the eunuch's ghost, which is not easy as it fed off evil for the past 900 years. He has gotten stronger during those years. Kim Shin says there is only one way to do it, and that the sword has to come out. Reaper later met up with Sunny and is shocked she can remember him. She said he wanted her to forget only her unhappy memories, thinking Wang-yo would go with it. In reality, most of her happy moments were with Wang-yo. As the Grim Reaper cries, she handed the jade ring back to him, and she asked for a real breakup now, as a punishment for his sins. Shin took Yun-tak to Cozy Holiday, and they silently said their goodbyes. Shin takes Yun-tak to a rooftop and told her to summon him when he calls her. He kissed her. Yun-tak was worried about the goblin. She could not understand what was going on. Yun-tak realizes she did not have her birthmark again, she cannot see the ghost, and she could now be possessed by the evil eunuch ghost. She got attacked, but Shim came to save her. Meanwhile, the Reaper received a death note for Yun-tak's death in 30 minutes' time. Realizing the truth, Yun-tak tried to kill herself so that the ghost will not be able to possess her and take the goblin's sword out. But before she could do it, the ghost possessed her body. The ghost made her walk to the goblin, and he takes the sword out in chest. The Reaper comes in and calls the eunuch's name 3 times, making him release himself from Yun-tak's body. Kim Shin holding an unconscious Yun-tak's hand on the sword, and he used it, kill the eunuch, bringing him to his end. At the goblin's final moment, he told Yun-tak how he will come back to her as the rain, the snow, and everything. As she cries and screams, Kim Shin becomes dust and flies away. After releasing the sword from his chest and killing Eunuch Park with it, Kim Shin begins to disappear. Yun-tak hurriedly writes down everything she remembers about him. Kim Shin has reached some snowy desert place, and the god's punishments are now over, and everyone who knew him has forgotten about him, and he can move on now. He, however, begged to stay. He wants to become the snow, the rain, and everything. He is then shown to be walking with no end. 9 years later, Yun-tak is now a PD at a radio station. At a coffee shop, she meets Reaper, but they don't recognize each other. Although she wonders if it's the same Reaper that used to appear to her when she was a kid, Yun-tak wonders where she got the necklace she is wearing from. The goblin had gotten it for her at Quebec. Later on, she meets Sunny and her high school friend, who both urge her to start dating. As Yoontak celebrates her birthday alone, she's filled with questions and regrets. She lights the candle on her birthday cake. Surprisingly, the goblin appears. Kim Shin and Yoontak seem to be in tears, although Yoontak did not understand the reason she is crying. Kim Shin remembering Yoontak while Yoontak is in pain, and wondering what she had forgotten that has caused her all this pain. They hug and cry until Yoontak says she got lost in the moment and asks Kim Shin why he is hugging her as they are strangers. But Kim Shin is somehow happy. She is healthy and well. The goblin meets the Reaper, and the Reaper remembers him as a gift from the gods. He asks for forgiveness for all his sins, and Kim Shin forgives him. The Grim Reaper takes him back home, and they drank beer together like the old days. Reaper told him he is still in punishment and has stayed away from Sunny for the past 9 years, and that he listens to Yoontak's radio show too. Shim follows Yoontak around, but she just can't remember him. He decides he needs to set things in order first, and for that to be possible, he needs money. So he presents himself in front of Dio Kwa and the secretary who is now a CEO. They realize this is the man and the real CEO mentioned in his grandfather's will and welcomes him in. Yoontak's boss threatens to fire her if she can't get advertisers for her show. Eventually, Yoontak scores the deal for her company, saving her show. She then decides she needs to find the Kim Shin mentioned in her diary. Meanwhile, Sunny receives from Canada the letter that Yoontak wrote 10 years ago. Sunny, meanwhile, hands the letter to Yoontak, finding it strange that she sent it to the old store when she has never been there, and the letter is from Canada when she has never traveled. She reads the letter which she has addressed to her mother, saying she has seen heaven and is happy. She also mentions about how she can go anywhere through a magical door, as long as she is with the goblin. Yoontak wonders whether the man she was referring to in her diary is the Kim Shin she wrote in her diary. The goblin gave the Grim Reaper a letter to give to Sunny as an excuse for them to meet. The Grim Reaper tried to meet Sunny but is unable to, and he is forced to hand it over at her store. Sunny and the Grim Reaper meets, but she does not recognize him and walks away, having him break into tears. Yoontak decides to go to Quebec, and the hotel staff tells her that her letter got stuck in the chute for 10 years, which is the reason for the delay. They only got to send it to her because they found it when they were remodeling. Yoontak walks around in Quebec. She sees a red door, and all of a sudden Kim Shin walks right in. He tries to leave, but it is too late as Yoontak has seen him. They ended up having dinner together. The goblin takes her to the Maple Leaf place and tells her all what she said there the first time they went there, but Yoontak still did not remember. The goblin tells her about his first love. Yoontak, with no reason, started feeling jealous. She got to her hotel and stares at her diary, trying to remember the name she wrote in her diary. The next day, she meets the goblin and asked if they had met 10 years ago. The goblin denies. The day before she's set to go back to Korea, Yoontak suspected the goblin and asked him again if he was the man she met 10 years ago. Kim Shin replied, yes. They decide to go on a date. It was then his vision came true that he was the one Yoontak was waving at and waiting for at the restaurant. The goblin could not stop smiling. They talked, and the goblin asked her if he can see her again the second day. Yoontak blushes, and they decides to meet again, and she sees on a brochure the picture of a hilltop cemetery. While getting ready for her second date with the Grim Reaper, she had a flash and visits the old cemetery. She asks the goblin if he is Kim Shin, which he denies. She asked him why his name is written as someone she should never forget in her diary, and why must remind herself that she is his bride. The goblin asked her to go back to the hotel, and they left separately. At a cafe, Sunny checks the CCTV from the old store to see the Reaper there. Sunny recognizes Reaper as the person who delivered Yoontak's letter. Sunny visits Dia Kwa and asks him to give her the Grim Reaper's number. She called the Grim Reaper, but the Grim Reaper stares at his phone and could not answer. Later during the day, the Grim Reaper and Sunny meets up at a cafe. Reaper introduces himself as Wang Yo. She asked if she has met him before, but the Grim Reaper said no. She smiles at him and tells him not to cry in front of the restaurant again. He tells her she looks like someone he knows. She tells him his old pretend name, Kim Woo Bin. As she later says goodbye, Reaper cries. On the other hand, she remembers meeting a young boy 9 years ago. Sunny met with a little boy 9 years ago. Yoontak frequently saves the boy from bullies. The boy has taken over by the god again, but Sunny stands with him and asked no one to involve in her experience. The heaven promised not to intervene. So Sunny's memories had remained intact. Even when Yoontak moved in, Sunny pretended like they just met for the first and monitor her. Yoontak walks around with the maple leaf on her hand. Just then, her memories started returning. She remembers the goblin and all that has happened. She started crying and searched for the goblin. She blows a nearby candle to summon him. They met and they reunited with each other. Later, Yoontak asked if the goblin have seen Sunny. The goblin tells her he used to wait and watch her from afar. The goblin tells her him and Grim Reaper became really good friends and that he is still living at his house. She replies that their fate are unbelievable. Back home, the goblin announced to the Grim Reaper that Yoontak remembers him now. He is so happy. The Grim Reaper was glad to see Yoontak and tells her he enjoys her radio shows. With time, things were normal between them. Diakwa, the Grim Reaper and the goblin were family again. Sunny meets Kim Shin one day as the goblin was leaving Yoontak's room upstairs. She asked if he is the guy from the restaurant, and the goblin sees a vision of her back together with the Grim Reaper. After he left, Sunny tells him to take care of Yoontak and refers to him as her brother. Yoontak's aunt visits her and is still as bitter as ever. Her children roams around causing troubles. The goblin eventually proposes to Yoontak. Yoontak accepts the goblin's proposal, and she notices she is able to see ghosts again, because she is with Kim Shin now. Kim Shin, waiting at Ji Yoontak's office one day, sees her friend that was trying to make her go on a blind date before the Grim Reaper came back. He used his magic on her, making the straps of her bag cut. Then he ran inside Ji Yoontak's office. He announced to her colleagues that he is her boyfriend, or rather fiancé. The goblin took Ji Yoontak to meet Diakwa. Yoontak worries that Diakwa might not recognize her since she has gotten older. The goblin is eager to get married to Yoontak, so her friends can stop telling her to go on blind dates. Diakwa cannot remember Yoontak again. He asks her if she knows the kind of person his uncle is. Yoontak replies, yes. The goblin and Yoontak goes for a dressing fitting for their wedding. They commented on each other's clothes. Yoontak got the goblin a wristwatch as a wedding gift. During the wedding preparation, news of Sunny's departure reaches them. She made the announcement on a live radio program. She mentioned Kim Woo-bin, the Grim Reaper's name. In the end, Yoontak tried to find her but realizes she had sold the building earlier. She left a letter for her at the mailbox. Yoontak finds out that she remembers everything. She could not understand why Sunny chose to leave now when they can all cherish each other. The goblin explains that it is because she could not forgive the Grim Reaper, and that is the Grim Reaper's greatest punishment. She waited on the bridge for the Grim Reaper. The Grim Reaper met with her and hugs her for the last time. He cried for days. The goblin stays by his side throughout. The goblin and Yoontak got married at the Bucket Wheat Garden. They were alone. It looks intimate and romantic. One day, Yoontak was leaving for work. She saw the Grim Reaper, who is waiting for a bus filled with children to die. As Yoontak drives away, a Reaper colleague arrives with some changed information. Reaper realizes in shock as Yoontak meets with an accident and dies as she is on the phone with the goblin. Reaper finally receives Yoontak's death note. It is a belated one which indicates a human sacrifice and cannot be predicted. At the Reaper's office, the two of them hug each other, heartbroken. Since this is her first life, she promised to come back and be the goblin's wife again and again, after saying that she leaves. Years pass. Grim Reaper and Shin were all alone. Grim Reaper is on his final day of work when he receives another death note, his final death note of Sunny. Eventually, the Grim Reaper and Sunny step into the afterworld together, hoping to be together the next lifetime. Many years later, the CEO is now an old man, and Kim Shin is taking on a new identity. He sees the Reaper and Sunny have been reincarnated as humans, and the two are shown to be romantically involved. But since they do not know who Kim Shin is, he mostly keeps his distance whenever he sees them. One day, Kim Shin waits near a cemetery in Quebec, and a schoolgirl Yoontak walks over to him again. With tears in her eyes, they reunite and love each other. If you enjoyed this recap, hit that like button and subscribe for more. Drop your thoughts in the comments below, and see you next time.